The second question pertains to how the company was, or what process was used for the purchase of the company. The initial process started about a year ago when I was in discussions with two of my employees that wanted to have a partial ownership. They wanted to purchase shares in the company. And they were very interested as they are younger, a lot younger than I am. They are 32 and 35 years old, and they have a taste for this type of business. They've been working for me for several years. One of them has worked for me since the very beginning of the company. The other one has been with me for 5 years now. So we were in these discussions, these ongoing discussions. We had help from the local industrial center here in Granby that offers these type of services for smaller businesses. It was moving along nicely, but it was clear that as far as money was concerned, or the amount of money I was looking for, the purchase would have been done over several years. My initial estimate would be 7 to 10 years, which was fine at the time, but I felt that it was a little bit too long, especially the moment we flipped the majority ownership from me to them. They could decide to stretch a purchase for years without me being able to do anything, not being the majority owner anymore. Now, during this process, I got a phone call, a very random phone call that I initially thought was spam, from a French engineer that was calling me from Montreal. He's been based in Montreal for the last 2.5 years. And he wanted to see whether at my company we were looking for a potential transfer of ownership. That was a very intriguing phone call that I had not expected, obviously. And as I mentioned, I wanted to hang up at first, but he managed to convince me. He gave me some credentials. I checked them up, and I checked them out, and it turned out to be a legitimate company based in France, near Saint-Étienne, near Lyon. They are called Meka Concept, and they are a large 10.5 million euros business that has been running for the last 30 years in the south of France. Now they wanted a couple of years back to have a foothold in Canada, especially in the Quebec province, as the language barrier was almost non-existent. As everyone knows, the Quebec French is slightly different from the French spoken in France. At least that's what the French say. The person that called me was based out of Montreal and has been based out of Montreal for the last 3 years, and he was scouting for such a deal and was also doing some business research to get potential customers interested, so that when a business was found that was interesting for them, they would already be up and running. Now, the process that very initial process lasted a couple of weeks to a month. I had an initial discussion with the owners in France, and it was decided at that point that this gentleman was going to be flying down to Canada. He had a total of 6 companies that he wanted to meet with, and the scheduling was made and everything was booked. So he came down, he met with me. We had a very, very informal discussion. The very initial goal for this person was not necessarily to see that I was doing the same business that he was. We are both mechanical engineers. He wanted to see whether there was a personal fit between myself and his team and him, and between the teams by themselves, whether there was a good personal fit. That was the very highest criteria for him. And he discovered very quickly, by the end of the meeting, it was a 2-hour meeting. By the end of that 2-hour meeting, he was expressing the fact that he had other businesses to meet. But at that point, he felt that the match was perfect with us. I did give him a good briefing as to what type of customers we were dealing with, what kind of business we were in, what type of market shares, manufacturing, assembly, so forth. And that's the initial process.